In this video, we will talk about the concept of simplifying rational expressions. So here we have a question. Basically, simplifying rational expression means that you are writing the rational expression in an equivalent form. That means after solving, that will be the another equivalent form of the given rational expression. So we will identify how to solve this expression. But before we start, we would like to remember that whenever in middle school we used to add fractions, and let's say we have 5 over 7 here, 3 over 4 plus 5 over 7. What we used to do was we used to get a common denominator, or we used to flip flop and multiply with the opposite person. So here this one has a 4 and it doesn't have 7. So we are trying to get a common denominator. In order to get a common denominator, what we can do is we multiply with the opposite people. So here I'm going to times by 4 on the top. Now when I do that, what happens is I get a 28 on the bottom for this fraction, plus 7 times 4 is also 28 at the bottom for the other fraction. Now on the top we have 7 times 3 is 21, plus 5 times 4 is 20. Hence, I can say that the simplified form, or the next step for this fraction, is going to be 41 over 28, because now it has common denominator. And the moment you have common denominator, you can actually add the top people in the fraction. So something to remember, I repeat, kindly take a look at this concept, because this is the concept that will be used here on the question that is given. It is just that in place of the simple numbers as the denominator, this time we have expressions as the denominator. So we'll see how we solve them, and as you can see, these expressions are different than each other. This one is x plus 7, the other is x minus 7. So on this next page, we will see how we actually solve this question or simplify the given expression. So let's write down the question again, and the question was 3 over x plus 7 plus 5 over x minus 7. Now here what we can see is that the denominator pieces are different than each other, and we cannot solve or move on to the next step until they have a common denominator. So we are trying to get the common denominator by doing the same thing as flip-flop. We'll multiply this fraction by x minus 7, but whatever I'm multiplying at the bottom, I need to multiply at the top also. Otherwise, I'm changing the question, which I cannot. So here I'm multiplying by x plus 7 on this side. I will also multiply by x plus 7 on the top, just so the question remains the same. Now by doing this step has actually helped me with something. What is the help that has been provided to me? Basically what we are having is we are going to have the same people in the denominator. So in other words, we can say that we have common denominator. So how will I write my fraction as a common denominator? I have x plus 7, x minus 7. Now, I have common denominator. The moment the denominators are common, I can add up the top people. So who are the top people? I can add them up or put them together, which will be 3 times x minus 7. This is the plus symbol, so plus here. 5 times x plus 7. So remember, this denominator that is common, that's coming 2 times here, will only come 1 time here in your answer fraction. Same thing that happened in the middle school question that we saw on the last slide. Now here we will use the distributive property. So for this step, we will call it the common denominator step. And here we will call it the distributive property is what we are using here. So 3 times 1x, there is a 1 here. So 3 times 1x is 3x. 3 times negative 7 will be negative 7 times 3, 21. Now this plus symbol, so plus symbol. There's an imaginary 1 here. 5 times 1, 5x. And then plus and plus. Plus times plus is plus. 7 times 5, 35. Everything divided by, I can just simply keep those as x plus 7 and x minus 7. Or if you want, you can do the area model for these, or FOIL, and solve them. Let's move on to see what is happening on the numerator here, as I have 4 different terms which you can see that there are amigos or friends here that can be combined. So 5x and 3x is going to be 8x. And then negative 21 plus 35 is going to be 14. So we can see that we were able to combine the amigos or friends or like terms. And then at the bottom, I can do area model, multiply it and write down my answer as x squared minus 49. By foiling or area model, you should get this answer. So I cannot further simplify this answer. This will be the final answer for my question. All right, we are going to take a look at another question which is going to be on the same type of question where we have to find or solve or simplify the expression. And another way they can write down is you have to write down the equivalent form of the expression. So these are the three different words they could use in the question. And the question that is provided, let's call it question number 2. X squared minus 25 divided by x squared plus x minus 20. So this question is different than the question we had on the last screen. For here, what we are going to do is we cannot simplify until we factorize the top and bottom. So we'll have to factorize the top part and factorize the bottom part. After we factorize the parts, we'll have to see what are the common parts so we can cancel them. Now this x squared minus 25. For this, in order to break this part further, we have to remember a formula, a squared minus b squared. A squared minus b squared can be broken up as its factors as a plus b and a minus b. Now, why did I pick only this formula for this question here? The reason is that I can write this question as x squared minus 25 is the square of what number? It's the square of 5. So I can write this as x squared minus 5 squared. Is it in the form of a squared minus b squared? As you can see, it is. That means if my a is x and b is 5, I can write down the factors of this question as x plus 5, x minus 5. So the top part, I know that I have done the factorization, which is x plus 5 and x minus 5. Now the bottom part. Bottom part is different than the top. It has 3 terms. First term has an x squared, second is with an x, and the third is just a plain number or a constant. So let's see on the next screen how we are going to factorize the bottom part. So let us write down the bottom part is x squared. So we can say 1x squared plus 1x minus 20. Now, in order to factorize questions like these, it is a quadratic function, quadratic trinomial we can say, because it has 3 terms and the highest power is 2, the degree is 2, and the leading coefficient is 1. So in questions like these, what we do is we multiply the first number and the last number. So when I multiply the first number and the last number, I get a negative 20. Now is my thinking step. I'm going to think of 2 numbers in the world, which when multiplied give me negative 20, but which when added give me the middle term, which is positive 1. So I repeat, in order to factorize your quadratic polynomials, what you do is whenever your a is 1 or the first number is 1, you multiply the first number and the last number. I multiplied it. 1 times negative 20 is negative 20. Now I'm thinking, this is my thinking time. Think of 2 numbers in the world which when multiplied give me negative 20 and which when added give me the middle term, which is the middle term here, positive 1. So let us think about different numbers which when multiplied give me negative 20. I can think about 10 times 2 is also gives me 20. So 10 times negative 2 maybe I can say. So I can think about 10 and negative 2 could be my numbers. 10 times negative 2 will give me negative 20. But does 10 minus 2 give me 1? No. So these numbers will not work. Let us think about other numbers which when multiplied give me negative 20. I can say negative 10 and 2. They are also another combination which when multiplied give me negative 20. Negative 10 times 2 is negative 20. And negative 10 plus 2 is negative 8, which will not work because I'm trying to get a positive one. All right, let's think about other numbers. Now the other two numbers that come to my mind are 4 and 5. So 4 times 5 we know is 20. So that part is done. Now I need a negative 20. So can I say that my numbers could be negative 4 and positive 5? Because 5 minus 4 is 1 and 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. So once I have my two numbers, then that means I have my numbers ready. 5 and negative 4. 5 minus 4, 1. 5 times negative 4, negative 20. These are the numbers that satisfy the condition. So I just write them as the factors x plus 5 and x minus 4. Now let us write down our final answer. As a group of factors on the top, remember the top factors were x plus 5 on the last slide and x minus 5 were the factors of the top part. The bottom part factors we just did just now. These ones are the bottom part factors, which is going to be x plus 5 and x minus 4. Now, are there any common factors here that can cancel with each other? So we can say yes, x plus 5 and x plus 5 on the top and the bottom are common factors and they can cancel. So whatever I'm left with is going to be my answer because it cannot be cancelled. So my final answer is going to be x minus 5 over x minus 4. That's going to be the simplified answer or the final answer. All right. On the next slide, we'll again look at same type of questions where they are going to ask us to simplify the expression, solve the expression, or create an equivalent form of the expression. So any three words they use in the question, it pretty much means the same thing, that you're solving the expression. And we'll call it question number 3. And the expression given to us is x plus 5 over x minus 3 minus x plus 4 over x plus 2. So this is the question provided. Now this is pretty much the same thing like the first question we did, where we had an example of a middle school question we used to do. So let's do another one where we have minus sign here over 3 by 4, let us say. So whenever we have questions like this, remember we used to get a common denominator, and in order to get a common denominator, we times by the other person up and down. So that's what we are going to do here. We'll times by the other person. Why are we doing this? Just so we can get a common denominator. This is also 20 and this is also 20. So once we have a common denominator, we can move further with the question. So that's the same thing we are going to do here in this question. We are going to get a common denominator. And these are the two bottom pieces which are different. So what I do is I do flip-flop. I multiply this part with x plus 2 on both the sides, up and down, and this part with x minus 3 up and down. So remember, why are we doing the same thing on top and bottom? Because we cannot change the question. So we are keeping the question same, but we are taking the other part. So this part had x minus 3, but it didn't have x plus 2 that is here. So that's why I take that x plus 2. Now, do we have a common denominator? Yes, we can put the common denominator only once. Remember, in the middle school problem, we'll put the common denominator 20 only once and when we give our final answer. Same thing here, we'll put the common denominator just once. And now that tells me that I can have the top people, I can just combine them, but there is a minus sign in between which I need to remember. And I need to multiply those expressions and this expression. So how does my now next step of question look like? These two people are going to be multiplied together. This minus sign comes here as the minus sign. And now I'll have other two people that are going to be multiplied together. Now I'm not done at this stage. Why? Because when I FOIL or area model this, and I FOIL and area model this part, I'll end up with something simplified, which will be a better form to give the expression rather than this complex answer. That's why we'll move forward. So first, we'll call this step as the common denominator step. All right. So because the next steps are going to be more complex, so let us move on to the next slide in order to solve them. So let's write them down first. It was x plus 5, x plus 2, and then there was a minus sign between, and because there was expression, so I brought these square brackets, x plus 4 and x minus 3. Close the square brackets and everything divided by x minus 3, x plus 2. Now in the last chapters we have done the FOIL and area model. So I would like for you to try the FOIL or area model on your own, and then you can check it with me. So you can watch those videos for FOIL and area model if you need a refresher on that. Another thing to remember is there is an imaginary 1 here which will eventually get multiplied by all the terms. So after foiling the first term, pause the video and come back and check your FOIL answer. After foiling the first term, I get x squared plus 7x plus 10 minus, remember there's an imaginary 1 outside the bracket. So now I have x squared plus 1x minus 12. So remember I have area modeled or FOIL these people together, this two people together here. And now I'm writing the answer with the common denominator again. Now the next step is going to be distribute this -1 to everybody, because we can see that there are common terms or amigos which we can combine. But we can only combine them once this -1 is distributed, so all terms can be together. So first part pretty much remains the same. And here the negative is going to be distributed. So -1 times positive, negative times positive is negative. And 1 times 1 is 1. And this is also a 1 here, and that's why we have a 1 here. Now -1 times negative. Negative times negative, positive. So 1 times 12 is 12. Everything divided by the same common denominator. Now here we can actually see that this is 1x squared and minus 1x squared. $1 in the bank, take away $1, nothing. Which are the other amigos? 7x and -1x are the amigos. So 7x minus 1x will be 6x. And then 10 are the other two amigos, positive 10 and positive 12, which gives us 22. Divided by same common denominator. Now this could be our final answer, or they could also give you the final answer as they could even do the area model or FOIL for the bottom part. That decision you can make when you do the question and check what type of answers they are giving you. If they are solving the bottom part, you can also solve the bottom question, bottom expressions. All right, we are going to take a look at the question number 4 now. And remember, I am writing down on every screen here for you. Simplify, solve, or create equivalent expressions are the same thing. And this time the question that we have is x minus 2 over x plus 5 divided by x minus 2 and x plus 3. So this is the question given to us. The something new is this division sign here. So you need the formula for this question. And it is like a repetition of dividing fractions in middle school that you have done. So let us say we have a fraction a over b divided by c over d. So whenever we are dividing fractions, we call the formula as stay, change, flip. That means your first fraction remains the same. The second fraction, is your sign. The sign changes, division changes to multiplication, and then you flip the next fraction. So what does the formula change to? A over B. Division sign changes to multiply, and this one changes to D over C. And it becomes a multiplication question, and multiplying is easier than dividing, or it is just a reverse form of division. So this is what we are going to use in this question now. So you can even pause the video and stop and try and solve it on your own. And on the next slide, we'll actually use the formula to solve it. So remember, our question was x minus 2 over x plus 5 divided by x minus 2 over x plus 3. So we are doing stay, change, flip. So the first fraction stays the same, x minus 2 over x plus 5. Division changes to multiplication. And the second fraction is going to flip. So it is x plus 3 over x minus 2. Now the moment we flip the fraction, the cool part is that we have a term that is similar and they are up and down. If they were top and top, we cannot cancel them. Top and bottom, we can cancel them because they are getting divided. Oops, I didn't mean to cancel this one. So this still stays here. These two I meant to cancel. So my answer is whatever is left is my answer in the final answer, because this is x plus 5, this is x plus 3, they cannot cancel. So I write down my final answer as x plus 3 over x plus 5. Hence the final answer. So remember, we learned the strategy in this one to stay, change, flip, as to how we used to divide fractions in middle school. All right, question number 5. Same thing. Remember the terms: simplify, solve, or equivalent. Equivalent has come from the word equal. Something that is similar and equal to the given expression is what we solve and calculate. So the question is 3x plus 6 over x squared plus 6x plus 8. Now this question is totally different from the last one. Last one we had simplified pieces. We just had to set them up and cancel and get the answer. This one we need to do more work. We need to figure out how can I break it down, this top part into its pieces, the bottom part into its pieces. So how we can break that down is, for the top part, we can see that they both have a common number, 3. So I can write this part as 3 times x plus, how can I break down 6 as? 6, I can write it down as 3 times 2. Now they both have a 3 in common. I take the number 3 as common. Inside I'll have left x plus plus. 3 I have already taken common outside, so I don't have to write it here again. This is x plus 2. Now why is this correct? Because if I distribute it down, I'll get back 3x plus 6, hence I'm correct. So this is the factor of the top part. I got my factors of the top part of the fraction. Now I need to factorize the bottom part. How would I factorize the bottom part? Remember, in the previous questions, we had a question like this, which was a quadratic trinomial. This is a quadratic trinomial. And I need to, the strategy is that I'll multiply the first number and the last number. So 1 times 8 is 8. Now think about two numbers in the world, which when multiplied give me 8, but which when added give me positive 6. So I'll have different numbers, I can think about 8 times 1 is 8. Can I take these numbers? Because 8 times 1 is 8, but when I add them, I get a 9. I do not get a 6. I'm trying to get a number that when I add them, I should get a 6. So I'm thinking that my numbers could be 4 and 2, because 4 times 2 is 8 and 4 plus 2 is 6. So I just write down my factors as whatever numbers I got, I write them down as x plus 4 and x plus 2. These are the factors. Now see, I have gotten my factors for the top part of the fraction and for the bottom part. I call it the bottom. Now let us write down, in place of this fraction, I'm going to write down my answers as the factors that I got for top and factors that I got for bottom. On the next page, let us write down the question in the factors form. So I'm going to write down the original question also. I can say that this question can be also written as 3 times x plus 2 were the factors of the top part, and the bottom part factors were x plus 2 I'm just trying to write it again, so because it was drawing a line over it. So the bottom factors were x plus 2 and x plus 4. So now I can further simplify it. How can I further simplify? I know that there are two pieces that are common to top and bottom. The common pieces can be cancelled. And that is what makes the work simpler or easier. On the top, I have just 3, nothing else left here, so just 3. And the bottom part, I have x plus 4. This is the simplified or the equivalent answer because I can't further do anything with them. I cannot cancel them. I cannot factorize these two pieces. Hence, this is the final answer. All right, for question number 6, I would like for you to try on your own, where you have to write down the expression in equivalent form, which is like a combination of all of what you have learned till now. And the question is x squared. Before that, I would like to write down the same math terms that we talk about. It is simplify, solve, or calculate the equivalent form. So the question is x squared minus 4x plus 4 divided by x squared minus 9 multiplied by, this dot is a multiplication symbol, x squared plus 2x minus 15 divided by x squared plus 6x minus 16. So try doing this question on your own. A hint is that you will have to use the quadratic trinomial strategies that we used here to find out the two numbers and the middle term that we use. So these three, you'll use that. And for this one, you'll use the formula a squared minus b squared and break it down as, you can use x squared minus 9 is the square of 3 squared is 9. So now you'll break it down as x plus 3, x minus 3. Now this is just the breakup of this part here. There are the rest 3 pieces you need to still break down into their factors. Then you will see what is common, cancel the commons and have your final answer. So this could be a little challenging because it's testing all of your information that you have learned till now. And solve the question and share the answer in the comments.